All right, welcome to day one of How to Rock Your New Year Health and Weight Loss Goals, this 5-day series that I am doing both in email, in my Facebook group, doing a post, and kind of the same thing goes in email, but less of it, and then the post, and then of course the live sessions. The live sessions are going to be the best thing for you to get the most out of this series. Obviously, everyone can't join live, and so that's why you want to make sure you watch the replay, because you can still interact with me in my Facebook group, or if you're watching this on YouTube or somewhere else, you can still always kind of hit reply or let me know in the comments. And I'm just really excited because, I wasn't going to do this because I have some other major projects coming up that I'll tell you a little bit more about for you in January, but I just started thinking about how this is a new year, and a lot of stuff happened in 2020 for many people, and we're just wanting a new, fresh start. And so many of you have told me over the last year in particular, or even the last few months, that you're just ready to stop going on this dieting roller coaster. You're ready to ditch the diets. You're ready to lose weight that lasts. And you're just ready to finally feel good and healthy in your body. And in a time where it is very important to feel good and healthy in your body, okay? And so this series is really about leading you through 5 simple steps, or I should say 5 habits to really kind of work on, to really catapult your health goals, whatever they are. Whether you want to get your hormones in line, whether you want to get your digestive system working better, whether you want to reduce your stress, whether you want to lose weight that lasts, whether you want to find energy again. These habits go across the board. And so that's why I really wanted to focus on these ones in particular. And so, today's topic is about planning. And I love planning. It is something that brings me joy. It is something that makes me feel so happy inside. And it is something that has allowed me to accomplish a lot of things across the board, not just with health. All right, so that's what we're going to dive into. And I mentioned 3 here in the group, 3 tips, but I'm going to actually talk about 5, 2 other ones. So that's why you have to join live, because there's always a little bit more juicy stuff when you come on live. And I will just say this before I get going into this. If you haven't seen, whether through the email or through the Facebook group, you need to check out this habits tracker that I recently just opened up. So the Sustainable Weight Loss Habits Tracker is a new resource that I'm first time making available to the public. And it is a resource to really help you with your New Year's goals. And I'm going to read kind of specifically some of the things that it can help you with. Let me just make sure I bring up the right notes. I have so many notes and stuff on my screen. So this tracker, though, is a part of, it's a mini version of a larger tracker that I go through with my one-on-one clients in the 6-week thing we do when they first get started, called the Sustainable Weight Loss Bootcamp. It is a mindset and habits bootcamp, and it's really about getting your mind right and your actions right to really help you reach your health goals and your weight loss goals. And so this tracker is me kind of taking a small itty-bitty versions of that, a preview of the 6-week tracker to really kind of support you as you go forward in your New Year's goals. Well, actually, any point you can use this. And so this tracker will help you start with baby steps for creating diet-free meals for yourself, filled with nutritious foods. Drink more water to energize and hydrate your body. Make veggies a regular part of your meal. Cut back on added sugar and learn to enjoy natural sugars and fruits and veggies instead. It will help you start sleeping more through the night. Understand the emotions driving you to eat. Identify which foods support your body and which ones don't. Speak loving, positive truths over your body and your weight daily and yourself daily. Fit in exercise and movement each week. Practice mindfulness where you can eat and be present and keep track of your progress so you can reward yourself. Okay, and so the idea is that you really want to keep track of this stuff. And we all have different, I have a huge planner here. My goodness, it's amazing. I use a bunch of different tools to keep track of things. And what I found is like having it in one place where I've put myself through this boot camp too, and this is stuff that I do, incrementally adding in work on different habits, and that's what this tracker will help you with. There's a food chart in there to help you with figuring out balanced meals, which is part of the tracker. There is a food journal, and then of course there's the habits tracker itself. And so you're going to want to grab this. It is only $17 this week from January 4th to January 8th. Now on January 9th, I am going to increase the price by 40%, right? So this is just something I wanted to make sure as we talk about this series, as we go forward, that you have an actual practical tool to help you going forward. I'll also mention that for this week, I've opened up a couple spots for the next couple weeks for some free mini health and weight loss breakthrough sessions. These are 20-minute sessions where you can kind of get support in figuring out one thing. So it could be one thing that we're talking about this week, it could be something else, and really help you get clear on what is your next best step going forward. And maybe that's working with me, maybe it's using the tracker, maybe it's doing something else, right? And so if you are interested in that, you're gonna wanna book that call. If you go to madewell345.com/strategy, you can find that there. I should have linked that in here too. I will update that. Can I update that while we're doing this? Because my brain is a little foggy these days. You know, sometimes with a newborn, it's a little spicy. Yeah, so you can go ahead and grab the tracker as well as book the call. Mini 20-minute health weight loss breakthrough call. And there's only limited spots for that, so you're going to want to make sure you grab your spot. Okay, all right, so let's just get started. Okay, so there's 5 things I want to go through as I talk about planning, and then I think tomorrow we're going to talk about nutrition, our diet-free eating. On Wednesday, we're going to talk about joyful movement. On Thursday, we're going to talk about deep breaths and rest. And then Friday, we're going to talk about a positive thinking and mindset and how that really shapes actually all of them. I'm pretty sure that every day I go live at 12 p.m. Eastern, besides Wednesday. I have something at 12, so it'll probably be around 3 or so, but you'll be notified in the email and all that when I'm going live. But for the most part, it will be at 12. And if you're on live with me, please let me know you're here. Hopefully I can see all the comments and try not to use the phone, my phone too much. So I'm trying to just do it all through the computer. So let me know if you're on live and feel free to interact. And even if you're watching the replay, you could do hashtag live or hashtag replay and let me know you're here. And of course, use the comments to kind of interact as we go through. All right, so the first tip is plan to plan. Now, I think planning has just allowed me, making space to plan my week, plan my goals, plan my month, plan my year, has really helped me get very clear on what are the most important things that I need to focus on. Now, habits don't just, or success or results don't just happen. I think you have this, we all have this thing like, oh, it's just because, look at this person, they, you know, they lost a bunch of weight or they're able to maintain their weight, all this stuff. Let me tell you, any of that has happened with intentionality. You know, I I was on this dieting roller coaster cycle, emotional eating, bad relationship with food. And then when I finally decided to really do this from a graceful, loving place and really care for myself, I worked on these habits in a sustainable way, but I was able to maintain the weight loss that I had for 7 years until having my daughter. Last year, oh my gosh, because it's 2021 now. And so I know what I'm talking about in the sense that we want to work on simple things, but one of those things has been planning. And the reason why I call it graceful planning, by the way, is because things change and you need to adapt, which what we're going to talk about in number 4. So, so plan to plan. So you want to dedicate some time in your schedule to do this. And so, you know, it's the beginning of the year, and a lot of people towards the end of the year or the beginning of the year take a time to reflect on the last year and plan for the new year. And so I like to plan in increments. So I like to take a dedicated time. It's hard with a newborn to give myself one day. So like the Christmas week we were off, and even somewhat of last week. And I just, you know, I have a different guide that I go through, but I just made it a priority for a little bit each day or dedicating specific time to reflect, but also plan for the new year, for the overarching plan, right? Now, you're not going to get specific here. You're not going to be, well, for the first quarter, you might get specific. You're not going to say like, in August, I'm going to do this. You can be, but what are your overarching goals, right? That's what you want to do, figure out in your planning session. And then as you plan to plan, so you dedicate a time. I dedicated a week to do it over a week for the year. But what I want to do is the beginning of every quarter, what do I want to accomplish in that quarter? And so this planner that I'm using now is from the Female Entrepreneur Association. So I have some personal goals in here, but it's a lot for business. But I mean, most planners will have this, and it broke it down overall goals, but then quarterly for January, February, March. What are my top 3 goals for each of those? Like, what do I want to accomplish overall? But then what are my top 3 goals? And I'm really enjoying that because as an achiever on the Enneagram and in the Strength Finders, I love to do everything. But in this season, I'm finding it's so great to just be focused on what are those top 3 to 5 things that I need to get done. Actually, top 3 even. Okay. And so quarterly, I'm writing out what are those top 3 things that I need to get done. I'll talk a little bit about goal setting in the next one. But then I'm also doing that monthly from that quarterly. Like, you're taking it, basically, these are what I want to do over the whole year. Then this is what I want to do for the quarter, and then this is what I want to do for the month, and then this is what I want to do for the week, and this is what I want to do for the day. It seems cumbersome, but when you have that overarching plan and you break it down, it takes time. That's why we want to plan. It just helps you get very clear and not just focusing on what you most need to focus on. All right, so that plan session is so important because it's going to help you know how to use the time when you have it, know what you're going towards. Because many of us make these general resolutions, right? We make this, I want to lose 30 pounds by the end of 2021. Now, that's a great goal, but you need to be very intentional about how you break that down. Does that now mean, okay, 30 divided by 30 divided by 6 is what, 5? Does that mean you want to lose 5 pounds in 2 months? Which is totally a doable goal. All right, so then, okay, then you want to lose how much? 2.5 in one given month, right? So it's breaking it down like that. That's your goal. And then you're going to break down the actual actions or task you need to do to accomplish that goal, okay? Which we'll talk about some of those 4 and the 5 later. All right, so breaking down so making time to plan, yearly, quarterly, monthly, weekly, and daily is going to be very important for you. And I love helping clients figure out when's the best time in their schedules to do that and how much time should they do that for, and to make it super, super simple. So if that is something that you're like, you need to do, maybe you started before, let us know in the comments, when are you going to plan? When are you going to dedicate time? And you can start small. You can start just monthly or weekly or daily to really focus on what are my the healthy actions or the stuff I'm going to move towards tomorrow. All right. So for me, again, I usually reflect for the new year and plan for the new year at the end of an old one. And then I do that quarterly in the beginning of January and monthly for the beginning of January, then weekly Sunday night before each week, and then daily the night before for the next day. Okay. And so plan to plan. Let us know if that's something you're going to try to implement. Let us know that you're going to plan, and also let us know when you plan to plan for your goals and doing the actions to help you move towards them. And the second thing is since we've been talking about goals, I love helping. I mean, this brings me one of the most joy. I love helping my clients make realistic goals. All right, and simple goals. And so that's what the next 2 top tips are about. But so the first one, graceful planning. The next thing, though, when you're making goals, you want to make goals in line with your priorities and your values. What I mean by that is, so I do a weekly podcast for my clients called the Weekly Weight Loss Word that only my clients have access to. And the one for this week was about this, making goals in line with your priorities and values. And what I just shared with them is that when you are making goals, arbitrary goals, like, oh, I think I should lose weight, I think I should run a 5K, or I think I should sleep more, or I should, I think I should, I must, all these sort of things. That's not really life-giving, and that may not be in line with actually what you want. We all make these goals because of the result that the goal gives us, not for the goal itself. So why do you want to lose weight? You want to lose weight because you want to feel energetic, or you want to feel good in your skin. You want to feel whatever. Why do you want to sleep through the night? It's because you want to have energy and not rely on coffee or caffeine, right? And feel like you can accomplish your day. So and that is a priority and value of yours. And so some of my priorities in this season are my own health. I mean, it doesn't just have to be physical, but it can mean your priorities and values in life. My own health, my family, my relationship with God, my church community, and my business. Like, those are my top 5 value priorities. And so when I'm making goals, I made a bunch of goals this year, and they were in line with those 5 priorities, because I don't have a bunch of time to waste. And I want to make sure when I'm doing whatever I'm doing, it is in line with what I think I value in life, and what will move me towards feeling more fulfillment and joy and purpose in those things. Okay. And so when you're making your goals and value, do not make them arbitrary. Really ask yourself, why is this important? Why is this important? Why is this important? And you're going to get down to the nitty gritty of it. So for example, I mean, for business, I want to write the first draft of my book. I started a lot, like 2 different books the last couple of years. And I really just want to nail down, because I feel like I'm clear on what I want to actually say. Now, that is important to me, but that's not the most important thing for my business right now. I really want to fill my client load and serve a lot of more women, because I've just seen the transformation that my clients have one-on-one. And I mean, I do health coaching, but I also do life coaching and business coaching. And I just have seen the progress. Like, when I look at last year, even as having a baby, my clients had major breakthroughs. And so I'm like, I want to support more women. So that's my top goal. Now, if I have an hour or 2 hours each day, that's what I need to be moving towards, right? What are the actions that are going to move me towards that? And the same thing is with you and your health, or whatever goals you have. What are going to actually move you towards the priorities and values in your life? And you're going to make goals from that place. Okay, so number 1 is plan to plan, and creating time, yearly, monthly, quarterly, daily, weekly. And then 2, making goals in line with your priorities and values. And then 3, make them simple. All right, there's a whole lot of acronyms on SMART goals and whatever goals, and that's not what I'm trying to teach you right now. What I really want you to think of is, at the basic level, how can you make your goals and your planning process as simple as possible, right? And so when you are planning for those goals, you sit down, you're like, I'm going to do some planning. Don't use this like crazy system that you don't even understand. And don't try to do something that is just too much. Like, you want to make it really simple. So for example, if my goal is I want to make sure I'm eating as many whole foods as possible and balanced meals on a regular basis, which i.e. my tracker can help you with, then guess what? I'm going to simply start with, what are the healthy meals that I already love and I really know how to make, or I really know I can get easy access to? And then I'm going to start there, and I'm going to try to consistently eat those things or make those things for at least 30, 60, 90 days, right? And when I start to do that, then I'm going to add in something else. All right, now I'm going to add in some new recipes, because I want to designate some space on the weekend to try a new recipe. You see what I mean? So I'm trying to make it's very simple by starting with what I know. Many of us are trying to do so many other things, like getting a new diet. Like, maybe this strategy is going to be the new thing that helps me reach my goals, when really you actually know kind of what you need to do. It's just making time for it, which is where the planning comes in, right? So start with what you know, and that's going to help you make it super simple. And the habits tracker is going to help you with that. My goodness, it's if you want to increase the amount of sleep, you get good quality sleep, I say just start with 6 hours. Now, that is not the amount that we probably should get, but start trying to do that and give yourself points for it daily. And then at the end, you're like, okay, in the next couple of weeks, I'm going to try to add in 6.5 hours. You see, and it's building upon it. So when by the end of you going, by the end of my clients' boot camp and our time together, their habits are like second nature, because they've been intentional with them. All right. And so you want to plan. You want to make goals in line with your priorities and values, and you want to make the planning process, but also your goals, simple. Again, the planning process could be just 10, 15 minutes with a planner. And you can make your own planner if that's, I eventually want to make a planner. But I have through a bullet journal, but I mean, I want to make one available to other people, but I think you just really seeing like, how can I make this planning process the most simple? There's tons of free stuff online. I do offer a bullet journal course to my clients. But yeah, so that's number 3, make it simple. And yeah, make it simple. And then 4 is accountability. So I love, there's this test called the 4 Tendencies Test by Gretchen Rubin, and she just talks about expectations and how we as people, some of us are driven by different expectations. So some of you might be driven by your own expectations if you have high standards for yourself. Some of you may be driven by other people's expectations, and some of you may be driven by both, or some of you might not care about either. And so there's the outcast. No, that's not outcast. So there's the obliger, which is listens to other people's expectations more. There's the questioner, which is listens to theirs more. The rebel, that's like whichever, I don't care. And the upholder that tries to do both. I'm a questioner, so I actually have really high expectations for myself, and I care about other people's expectations, but I'm more so like, if you can tell me, the reason why it's a question, if you can tell me why this is important and kind of convince me, then you don't ever need to remind me to do it again. I've internalized that that's important. I have that expectation for myself, right? But a lot of people are obligers. Like, if someone else is holding you accountable or trying to hold you accountable, you're more likely to do it. And that's totally fine. It doesn't mean you're weak. It doesn't mean anything. It just means you know yourself, right? And yet there are still things. I have a business coach. I have spiritual mentors. I have fitness coaches. I have all of those too. Because even though I have very high standards for myself, it's still nice to get some support and actually to tell me to do less, which is the grace part of it, right? And so where is that accountability for you? Is it talking with a friend? Is it using this Facebook group more? Is it getting one-on-one coaching support? Is it using this tracker? It's going to hold you accountable. What is going to hold you accountable? Okay, so let us know, what are the things that are going to hold you accountable in your goals for the new year. All right, and then number 4 is the importance of reflecting and adjustment. So you want to make sure not only that you plan to plan, but you plan to reflect. And you can do that all in the same time. So at the end of Sunday, maybe you take 10 minutes to say, how did this week go? What went well? What didn't go well, and why? And then how do I want to adjust for the next week? And then you plan for the next week. And again, I love to lead clients through this. I call it the celebration, reflection, adjustment process, CRA. That's a fancy way of saying I just help them reflect and plan. And this is another podcast I did for clients, just on how to go about that process. And again, you could do that as often as you want, but I definitely think every time you're planning, it is important to reflect as well. So sometimes maybe you're like, I just can't think about both in one sitting. So you're going to take Friday afternoon to reflect for 10 minutes. And then you're going to take Sunday to plan, because Saturday you just don't want to think about anything and you want the day off, which is usually me. I don't want to think about anything on Saturday. Right? So that reflection process helps you just say, like, what went well, what didn't go well. And this tracker can help you do that as well, because guess what? You're taking track. You're tracking your food. You're tracking your habits. So as you're planning for the next week, you could be like, you're going to have raw data in front of your hand and information, so you can kind of analyze that. And sometimes I love helping clients analyze their food eating patterns, how certain foods affect them, all these things. But we wouldn't be able to do that if they didn't take to track their stuff, okay? And so that reflection and adjustment thing is going to be really helpful in your planning, okay? So the 5 tips I have for you to really allow, 5 tips plus a bonus one at the end. Plan to plan, make time in your calendar to plan for yearly, quarterly, monthly, weekly, daily. Then make goals in line with your priorities and values. Make it simple. Get accountability and reflect. Take time to reflect and adjust. And then the bonus tip is where the grace comes in is be gracious with yourself. Life happens. Life happens. A kid is home from school because they're sick. Man, your kids are home because of quarantine in COVID and pandemic. I had a baby, so I've just been really gracious with myself. And my daughter's name is Nema, which is Swahili for grace. I always wanted to name my daughter Grace for many different reasons when I had a daughter. Luckily, I adopted her first. And for many different reasons, but I know she's God's gift to my life to just really remember that life is full of grace if you will take it. Where just giving yourself just not an excuse or permission to not do things that are helpful for you and align with your health and goals, but doing those things and recognizing that life happens. Sometimes you're sick, sometimes you just don't feel like it, and that's okay because there's always grace. And there's enough grace and it's sufficient for you. Okay? So when I say graceful planning, what I mean is plan, but plan with an open hand. Plan just knowing that you might have to adjust. Plan just knowing that that's a part of life. And plan knowing that that does not mean that you're not going to reach your goals. That does not mean you're lazy. That does not mean you failed. It just means that stuff happens and we're human. All right. But when you are allowing yourself grace, the graceful planning process, you're allowing yourself to bounce back and be resilient, to have grit and to persevere. Okay. So let me know if you've watched this live, if you watch the replay, if you watch, just let me know which of these tips, and maybe all 5 of them is what you're going to do, but which of these tips do you really need to know, really need to implement this year to really have some planning and strategy in your life so you can kind of have a plan on how you want to reach those health, weight loss, and life goals. And of course, remember, if you are wanting a little bit of support in that, you can grab my Sustainable Weight Loss Habits Tracker and Food Journal this week for only $17. And it could be the tool you need to really track, to plan, but also track your progress. But also book those mini sessions. I have a couple mini sessions open in the next couple weeks for to really help you get clear on what's that one thing that you need to focus on in any of these habits, and maybe not these habits, to really see yourself be successful and feel what you want to feel when you accomplish your goals. Okay? Thanks for tuning in. I'll be back, I think, definitely tomorrow at 12 p.m. And if you're not on my email list, let me know. I'll give you the link to sign up for a freebie to get it, because that's where you'll just get the reminder. I don't know about you, I love getting reminders in my email. I'm going live, or this is what we're talking about today. But also make sure you check out the tracker and make sure you book a call. Okay? Grateful for you all, grateful to serve you. I'll see you tomorrow as we talk about diet-free eating. Oh man, I have something exciting in store. I'm doing another summit at the end of this month with my great friend Anya Perry, and that's actually what I'm going to be talking about, how you can eat diet-free and get the results you want. So I'm going to give you a little sneak peek about that tomorrow. Okay? Grateful for you all. I'll talk to you later.